What's up, amigos, and happy Diablo 4 release day. Today, Diablo 4 goes live for everyone. It's been a great 4-day early access, and I wanted to give the viewers a proper barb leveling build. So I tried leveling with Hoda, and I've also tried leveling with Upheaval, and both were okay until a certain point. Now I've had time to get this right because I've leveled 2 different barbs in hardcore and 2 rogues. Yes, I have died a lot. Anyways, let's jump into the guide. First things first, I do want to say barbs you should definitely level in world tier 1. Thank me later. It feels like it's the right thing to do. We are incredibly squishy, believe it or not, until we get a fortify setup going. If you are leveling in a group, however, go world tier 2. Lean on your party a bit, but definitely go world tier 1 for majority of your leveling if you are solo. Now I have my build set up here on d4builds.gg, so let's go ahead and take a look at the skill tree. So Lunge and Strike, don't sleep on this ability. It is incredibly strong actually for a basic skill. You will be spamming this a lot. With Enhanced Lunge and Strike, it deals another 30% damage on top of the base of 30, so it's 60% damage per hit. And then with Battle, you actually inflict a 20% bleed damage over 5 seconds. Again, it stacks up, it does a good amount of damage, don't sleep on it. Moving into Rend, which is our main ability here. This is a Rend build. So Rend is incredibly strong. It's another one that you should not sleep on at all. For the majority of my leveling experience, and even into my mid 40s, I was just rending once and everything would just bleed out. Enhanced Rend extends the duration of vulnerable on enemies by 2 seconds, and Furious Rend will grant us 4 fury per enemy hit, up to a maximum of 20 fury. So if you're rending into large groups of enemies, you can get fury back, which is always nice. Our first shout, we are running Rallying Cry. We want to slam 5 points into here. It's going to give us movement speed and 56% resource gen. The resource gen is incredibly important because we run the Unbridled Rage Keystone, which increases our fury spent, or increases the Rend fury cost by 100%, which moves it up to 70 fury per cast. So yes, we are definitely going to be wanting as much resource gen as we can possibly get. With Enhanced, we actually get Unstoppable. This is why you shouldn't use this ability. Hardcore players, anytime it's off cooldown, try to use it wisely because it can absolutely save your life. Unstoppable will break all CCs, so frozen, stun, stuff like that, knockdown. And then Tactical Rallying Cry generates 20 fury on the activation of Rallying Cry and grants us another 20% resource gen, which totals up to 76% resource generation for 6 seconds. Moving into War Cry. War Cry is definitely an ability that you are going to fall in love with. Not only does it increase our damage by 15%, but we also get Berserking for 4 seconds. Berserking is a barb only ability. It grants us 25% damage bonus and 30% movement speed. And then Mighty War Cry is our first step of our Fortify. Once we pop War Cry, we get 15% Fortify. So it is worth noting that this build is without any renown points. If you get your renown points early, which I recommend, you get extra skill points, and then you can invest into things like Aggressive Resistance and then Prolific Fury, which while berserking, we get more fury generation, and Aggressive Resistance is damage reduction while berserking. Moving into our weapon mastery tree. So Death Blow, this skill is incredibly underrated. I think this skill is not a single target skill. It will hit all enemies in front of you in a straight line. This is great for clearing out the smaller packs of like ghouls and spiders, and it will one-shot a lot of things. What's also great about this ability is that when you kill a target with it, its cooldown is reset, so it is spammable under the right circumstances. It's also great for bosses because with Enhanced Death Blow, we get an extra 100% increased damage to them. Now, what makes this ability even better for us is with Fighter's Death Blow, every time we kill an enemy or hit an enemy, we gain 20 fury. So again, when you're spamming this and you're constantly killing, all the trash mobs in front of you, it's a great way of gaining fury on the move. So we take 3 points in the Pit Fighter, which gives us 9% increased damage to close enemies and 6% distant damage reduction. So distant damage reduction is great in this game. Projectiles hurt. It sometimes feels like I'm playing vanilla Diablo 3. That's how crazy the projectiles are. It may be overtuned a little bit, but even in World Tier 1, the archers and just projectiles in general, they will shred you. We take 1 point into No Mercy. This is more of a prereq for Expose Vulnerability. Now, Expose Vulnerability, every time that we use Death Blow, since this is our weapon mastery skill, our next core skill, which would be Rend, makes our enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. This is our source of vulnerability. Now, our point in No Mercy isn't going unheard. So No Mercy is giving us 3% increased crit strike chance against immobilized, stun, or slowed enemies. So we're not necessarily immobilizing or stunning enemies unless you have an aspect, but we are always going to be slowing our bleeding targets when we put a point into hamstring. We take 3 points in the cut to bone because we deal 18% increased damage to vulnerable enemies who are bleeding. 1 point into thick skin. Each time you take direct damage, gain 0.4% base life as fortify. This seems like a very small amount, but it adds up. We put 3 points into counter offensive. While we have fortify for over 50% of our max life, you deal 12% increased damage. Our ultimate of choice is Call of the Ancients. Call of the Ancients is insanely good for leveling. It clears out packs. When you're in a pinch, it will do what it needs to do. This skill is great. We take Prime Call of the Ancients. While Call of the Ancients is active, gain 10% bonus attack speed and 10% damage. And Supreme, which grants all of our Ancients an extra ability. We gain 10 Fury each time Corlic damages an enemy with his Frenzy. Enemies are slowed by 50% when damaged by Talik's Whirlwind, and 30% chance to stun enemies for 3 seconds when Mawdok uses his upheaval. As mentioned earlier, our Keystone passive is Unbridled Rage. It gives us a 135% increased damage, but costs 100% more Fury for our Rend. Again, Rend will be costing 70 Fury. And that's it for the build. On this link that I'll link in the description down below, I will have my notes section. This is what I followed. Again, this is without the renown, level by level. If you guys need something different, if you feel like it could be, allocated differently, feel free to do so. This is what I did. And I actually changed a few things here and there for different boss encounters, for more survivability and such as well. Now, let's go over our aspects real quick. A lot of these, I think all of them that I've allocated here, are unlockable throughout the campaign, throughout the zones from completing dungeons. These are all codex powers. So Aspect of Anemia gives us a lucky hit chance to stun bleeding targets for 2 seconds. This is something that you can unlock early on in Core Dragon Barracks and Fractured Peaks. The Aspect of Disobedience is probably the best defensive aspect in the entire game. It's just an increasing armor stack when we deal any form of damage. This is unlocked in Kyrgyzstan. Aspect of the Expectant. This allows our basic skills to stack up a damage increase for our next core. We are constantly spamming Lunging Strike anyways, so you can always try to stack up a 30% increased damage for Rend. And this is unlocked in Skazglen. Aspect of Numbing Wrath. Each point of Fury generated while at a maximum Fury grants X amount of Fortify. This is unlocked in Heathen's Keep and Hawazar. Weapon Master Aspect. This is the only one that is not unlockable actually through the Codex, but I got this a fair amount of times. This will give our Death Blow 2 charges actually, and a chance to stun them. Edge Master is another great aspect. This allows us to deal 10 to 20% more damage based on the available primary resource. So when we are full on Fury and cast our Rend, we gain a damage increase. Aspect of the Berserk Ripping is unlocked in Mournfield and Dry Steppes. Whenever we deal direct damage with Berserking, inflict 20 to 30% of base damage additional bleed over 5 seconds. An Aspect of Echoing Fury in the Sirocco Caverns in Kyrgyzstan. Your shout skills generate 2 to 4 Fury per second while they are active. This is great when we run into shouts in general. And we have the Booming Voices, which increases our duration of our shouts by 24%. I did not put any aspect on weapons because throughout your level and experience, you are always going to be upgrading your weapons. So it is recommended not to put aspects on your weapons, to imprint them. For gems, I would definitely recommend for the weapon to go amethyst because it increases damage over time. For armor, you have a choice if you want more health or if you want sapphire. Sapphire gives you damage reduction while you are fortified. And then for jewelry, you just want to place in skulls for the increased armor. So this leaves us with our skill bar here of lunging strike, rend, rallying cry, war cry, death blow, call the ancients. And for our technique, you want to go two-hand sword, which will give us more bleed over 5 seconds. Now for your technique, you are not going to be able to unlock this until you go out into Act 3 area. So until the meantime, I was juggling between always trying to use swords, of course, but two-hand axes are great too because you get damage to vulnerable enemies. And yeah, that's it for the build. I hope this helps all of you who watch, and thank you for all the support lately. If you've enjoyed the video and you enjoy the content, and for future content, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. It helps me out greatly. And until next time, amigos, take care.